Welcome everybody to the Division review by yours truly, Predator Kill. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about the good and the bad of my experience with Tom Clancy's The Division. So let's jump right into it. To start things off about the positive side is the shooting mechanics. I have mentioned before that they feel very nice and polished. The game itself does a good job of introducing a good mix of using equipment and the cover system to make gunfights feel very intense and satisfying. Especially at the end of a tough side mission or a main story objective, I had a good time customizing my weapons with different scopes, grips, and other attachments to help with the scenario I was in. The next thing to talk about is the city itself. New York truly does feel isolated and cut off from the rest of the world. If you're willing to listen to phone conversations and even echoes, it can help give you a eerie feeling and on the inside of bad things that went down pretty fast in the Big Apple. I enjoyed the city streets, and being able to see landmarks can really add a surreal feeling to it all. The last thing on the positive side is the first few hours of the game can be quite addictive. You will have this obsession to get better equipment, to complete side missions to upgrade your base, or more importantly, to play the game and have fun, because the overall gameplay itself can be quite enjoyable and quite fun. Now it's time for the bad things. Like I mentioned earlier, I enjoy the New York City approach and the whole scenario and concept of the story. But literally after the first few missions, I feel the story lost itself. Instead of trying to find the cure to this bioweapon, it becomes a very shallow and mostly giving you a very simple reason to go and take out these gang leaders in their own territories, in which I felt like was a bad excuse just to have an open world game with an MMO elements. I'm not going to go on too long about the story, but let's just say I felt like I ate half a sandwich with nothing on it, but it looked good. They did a very poorly job of giving you entertaining story bits to pull you along the game, so by the late game you really don't care. You just kind of want to shoot people. Also, like I mentioned earlier, the first few hours of the game can be lots of fun, but you will start to notice the side missions will repeat, so they get repetitive. I also encountered some missions where they would be placed in some weird areas on the map, so I would get into a fight with double or even triple the amount of enemies coming from different directions. This became very aggravating, especially in high level areas, and every time I tried to play online with other players, I would run into some terrible lag, or run into players that were so high level like it was no fun to play with them. The last and final negative thing about this game is this. The game itself, literally a half-assed version of a bunch of games. Example, the game wants to be an MMO. You never see other players wandering around, or have ways to communicate with a bunch of them. Even in Destiny, yes, even in Destiny, occasionally allows you to team up with a random group of people to take out enemies. So why don't this game let me take out an enemy stronghold and do unleash the encounters? It makes no sense with a bunch of people. I can't think of a time that I was taking out an enemy stronghold with a group of people that just decided to do the same thing. On top of that, character customization is downright pathetic. At the start of the game, your character, you have very little options. It really comes down to the gear that you get. And the character models look really early PS3. They look pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, guys. The city itself and the environments look pretty decent, but like the characters look bad. Another example, the game wants to be a co-op, except for connection issues and some pretty bad lag that I experience with random people, and sometimes even with my own friends. I play lots of online games. I play MMO games. Why am I having this problem with this game? Come on, Ubisoft. Fix it. On top of that, if you're not on the same level as other players, the game does a poor job of balancing it out. So I was basically forced to play the game mostly by myself. Last thing is, I would be around at level 18 or level 20 area. The game became frustrating and repetitive due to an increase of strength and numbers of enemies, as if the game wanted me to play with other people, but I couldn't due to lag. And your character does not talk, in which the first few cutscenes of the game is very hard to get into. On top of that, the game wants to be a single player experience, but the story loses its meaning plus its style very early on. I wouldn't feel like they had a good concept, but I feel like the idea of the game was just all over the place. Overall, this game was decent. It had good ideas, but it was pulled in too many directions, and in the end of it, it became one-time playthrough, or maybe even one-week game. And that going to release content after content because they know that you will buy it. They will release content because they know they can make money. I tried to just have fun in the game. I really did, guys. I mean, the game is fun, but it's just a decent game. This game is the same thing as Destiny. It's just the Division actually offers more content day one, but it still has some of the same issues, some of the same flaws that I found with Destiny. Maybe these companies just don't need to be doing these MMO/shooters because they're just not fun to play. I really don't know, guys. Like, I've soaked hours and hours and on into this game. I've beaten the game. It's okay. Like, it's not the greatest. Overall, this is my opinion, and I will give the game a 5 out of 10. So it's decent. It's 5 out of 10. It's not a bad score, but maybe it's just not for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you later.